Here's how they tested a new fuel tanker design. They simulated a collision with a 36-ton truck going around 70 kilometers per hour. The test was a success, and the results will help create safer ways to transport flammable materials. Amazing footage was captured during a demonstration where a locomotive collided with cars. This was part of a Polish Railways program to stress the importance of safe driving near railway tracks. Even though the simulation didn't use real cars or high speeds, it convincingly showed just how vulnerable cars are in collisions with trains. We usually think of railways as a well-oiled machine with strict rules, but even they can have epic fails. In Memphis, Texas, a train accident ended up costing $2 million. The train was too tall to pass under a bridge, and the bridge shredded the metal roofs of the train cars like wet cardboard. Talk about a frustrating mess. The likely culprit? A dispatcher who sent an oversized train down a track meant for smaller tank cars. And it wasn't just the train that got wrecked. Look at those poor vehicles. No wonder the damage was so expensive.
Check out this awesome footage from New Brunswick, Canada, where heavy snow is just a normal day. It shows a train engineer effortlessly plowing through massive snowbanks, with the snow flying everywhere. It's seriously impressive.
In weather like this, you usually brace for surprises like skidding or poor visibility. But this time was different. A driver tried to get ahead at a railroad crossing just as it was about to open. The barrier lifted, signaling it was time to go, but not for the cars. Suddenly, an electric train sped through the crossing, blaring its horn. It was a close call. Imagine if a car had been in the way. The only thing that could have warned the drivers before the horn was the traffic light, which stubbornly stayed red even after the gates and barrier opened. Luckily, everyone waited and nothing bad happened. In tricky spots like crossings, it's always better to be extra careful. During Bangladesh's annual Biswa Ijtema festival, riding on overcrowded trains becomes a one-of-a-kind experience for many pilgrims. These trips might not be the safest or most usual, but it's amazing to see how skilled the train drivers are. In this video about railroads and cognitive mistakes, a guy with a plank was waiting at a crossing for a train to pass on one track. He didn't think about the possibility of another train coming from the opposite direction on the second track, especially since the first train was blocking his view. Thankfully, someone shouted a warning just in time. During the rainy season in the tropics, it feels like water is everywhere. Passengers at Al Sara station in Mumbai, India, learned this the hard way. Later, the railway crew said the engineer had followed all the rules, and that much water shouldn't have affected the train's speed. Train and car accidents aren't just limited to crossings. Sometimes people leave their cars way too close to the tracks, making it almost inevitable that they'll get hit by passing trains. This is what happens when basic safety rules are ignored. In Gibbon, Nebraska, people driving by managed to capture a huge railroad accident on video. It really shows how quickly train wrecks can happen. This one was particularly devastating. The transportation company reported that a freight train derailed for unknown reasons, damaging 20 cars, many of which overturned. Thankfully, no one was hurt. The train was going pretty fast, which caused the carriages to scatter widely and block all three railway lines. Luckily, none of the carriages ended up on the nearby road. A collision with one of those carriages, even without cargo, would have been disastrous. Diesel punk fans are going to love this video. It shows a ghostly train at sunset, shooting out sparks and smoke. Even though it looks pretty eerie, this train actually has a very practical job. It's a rail grinding train that smooths out bumps and defects on the tracks using special abrasive tools. All those sparks are part of the process. Plus, the train carries water tanks to keep things cool while it grinds. Witnessing a train accident up close can be really frightening. With such a massive vehicle moving at high speeds, the horrifying sound of metal bending and twisting can make your blood run cold. It's one of those incidents that not only halts train traffic, but also brings the entire town to a standstill. Flooded railway tracks aren't usually enough to stop trains, especially in Asian countries, where heavy rain and flooding are common. You might worry about electrical shorts, but modern trains, whether diesel or electric, are built to be waterproof and almost airtight. Train tracks have been a part of city life for ages, but it's amazing how well they blend into the environment in some places. In Hanoi, Vietnam, there's a lively alley right next to the tracks that leaves a lasting impression on visitors. With around 6.2 million people, Hanoi deals with dense urban areas and lots of illegal construction. One result is a stretch of railroad tracks running south from Central Station that doubles as a street. Here, daily life buzzes with houses, restaurants, street vendors, and even laundry hanging out to dry. The atmosphere is incredible, but the most exciting moments are when a train rolls through. The same applies to electric trains. The electricity that powers the wheels follows the path of least resistance, which means it doesn't flow into the water. Instead, it returns to the traction substation. The video captures train brake tests after the cars have been uncoupled. The tests were done at high speeds, around 200 kilometers per hour. You can clearly see the locomotive and cars moving apart, but the train hasn't started slowing down yet. Another railroad crossing emergency was caught on a car's dash cam. At first, everything went smoothly as the train crossed the road. But soon after, the cars uncoupled and started rolling backward, nearly crashing into passing vehicles. Cars uncoupling unexpectedly is a common and dangerous problem, often caused by neglect or equipment failure. Now, it's up to the locomotive to chase down the runaway cars. It was a truly strange sight at the crossing. It seemed like the train whizzed by just inches away. In freezing weather, contact wires often ice over, making it tough for the power collector to keep a steady connection. This can cause electric trains to spark. While it might look impressive, it's not really safe. When there's a lot of coal dust in the air, a steam train can turn into a real fire hazard.